Ever wish you had someone to talk to anytime, anywhere, no matter what you're going through? Meet PsychPal, your 24/7 AI companion designed to help you process your thoughts, calm your mind, and keep you moving forward. Chat anytime during a panic attack, on a restless night, or just when you need to vent. Prefer talking instead of typing? Try voice journaling. PsychPal listens, transcribes, and truly understands. You can even upload screenshots of tough conversations, and it'll help you unpack how they made you feel. PsychPal keeps life organized too. It can add appointments to your calendar, track your mood, and even summarize your sessions for your therapist so you'll never lose progress. Plus, built in crisis resources are always just one click away. It's a privacy first, constantly evolving, made to complement your professional care, not replace it. Ready to try it out? Head over to the link in this episode and use my code Pete at checkout to get 20% off your first month subscription to PsychPal. PsychPal, because your mind deserves a companion too. There we go. I think that's the one I like. We got it. We got it. Boom.
What do I do when life's so meaningless? What do I do when I just ain't feeling this? Anyone feeling this? Anyone feeling this? What do I do when life's so meaningless? What do I do when I just ain't feeling this? Anyone feeling this? Anyone feeling this? Meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Desires not to exist.
Another exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. Before we get started today, I want to give a shout out to my partners over at PsychPal, guys. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check them out. Go get a 7-day free trial. After that, if you like what you see, I was nice enough. I hammered them home, and they said, you know what, Pete, we're going to give you 20% off if you use my code Pete at checkout. That's right, guys. 20% off your first month of PsychPal. I know I'm a great guy. Anyways, with that being said, let me introduce my guest today. She is the host of the Magic Medicine Mayhem podcast. The one, the only, Sylvia Florence is here. Sylvia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Great to be here.
Sylvia is also an ex-wildland firefighter and wilderness ranger. Girl, let me tell you what, that is amazing, okay? She's also a shamanic practitioner and a writer. Girl, that's a lot of titles there. So why don't you tell everybody a little more about yourself?
Well, I know it is a lot of titles, but I've always tended to follow my curiosity and like the beat of my own wacky drum. And so I tried on a lot of things, and that has kind of contributed to the person I am today because I never, ever pass up an adventure. So,
Oh yeah, clearly we can tell. From Ireland firefighter to wilderness ranger to where you're at now, writer, podcast host. Girl, you're doing it all. That's great. So
thanks.
what changed? What was your just curiosity just led you just discover these things? We're like, hey, listen, I just want to go check this out now because shamanic practitioner is the most interesting thing on this list right now to me.
Thanks. So, are you
So
curious, like how I got into
yeah,
it, or
exactly. Yeah, sorry, that was probably should have been my follow-up question. So how did you?
it's all good? I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah, but it's so interesting that that's something you got into. Was it something you discovered and you were like, hey, listen, I'm going to go explore this a little bit? Because, I mean, that's not one you really hear come up much.
Well, I've always been somebody who's very connected to nature. I grew
Hmm.
up in a family where my parents took us camping and hiking and fishing and hunting and everything. So we were very much an outdoorsy family. So to me, being in nature or growing up with nature was a very natural thing. Haha. And so at a certain point, I have a really interesting family unit in the sense that my father is a Presbyterian who goes to church
Hmm.
like every week. My mother is atheist. Atheist. My brother's agnostic, and then there's me. So I'm kind of this like spiritual something. And organized religion, at least for me, didn't ever really make too much sense. Like it's totally fine, like for whomever, it works for and that kind of thing. But I always felt kind of like nature was my church, like
Yeah.
going outside, like seeing the like wonder around me and the cooperation between everything out in nature was always really magical. And so when I discovered shamanism, which is basically, I mean, it's a spirituality, but it's also a way of looking at the world, it just kind of felt like something clicked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I get that completely. That makes
yeah.
sense. So, I mean, because you said nature was a big thing and, shamans usually are more natural Eastern medicine types versus the Western medicine a lot of people know now.
Yeah, actually, shamanism is like one of the oldest forms of spirituality, I guess you could
Hmm.
call it. You can find it in cultures in the entire world. So, I mean, Native Americans are also very shamanic based,
Hmm.
or share a lot of qualities of shamanic
Yeah.
societies, and
Yeah,
so.
because Native Americans had multiple different gods they prayed to and things like that that were nature related. Same thing with the Greeks and things too. They had multiple different gods for each one that represented certain things. So you mean it was some kind of belief system was there in some place, however you want. That's the way I look at it. It's like whatever belief system you go with that works for you. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's all the same
Totally.
thing, really. You know what I mean? You have look at it from a different dynamic than they do, basically. So. Which is interesting though, because like I said, you don't see a lot of people that comes up as a conversational piece. So what got your interest in that though? Is it just the fact that nature was a big thing for you anyways, obviously?
I like the way that shamanism frames the way that we walk through the world. So
Mhm.
it doesn't put humans at the top of the list like we know best. It puts us at the table with everyone else. And
More on like
so
an equal kind of like everybody on the same equal space kind of thing?
exactly. Yeah, like
Okay.
picture us instead of being the top of the totem pole, we're like all around a table together.
Mhm.
And so to me, it's like a way of, I feel like we talk a lot about how our society is kind of going to hell in a handbasket these days and stuff,
Yep. Yep. Depends who you're asking. Yes,
separation.
that's a very good point there. But yes, okay.
Yeah. Separation. We're always more and more divided, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But when you look at the world through a shamanic perspective, everything is very connected. It's a web. And it's not just humans, it's every living creature. And
Yeah.
so to me, it's kind of like a way to get back into what Native Americans call right relationship with the rest of the world and to fall in love with the world again. Because when you love something, you tend to protect it, you know?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
to
makes
me, it's just
sense.
a really cool way of being and of like
Yeah.
looking at the world.
So so I mean, it makes sense though. Think about it, because you're putting everybody on the equal same place. You're respecting each other's space like you would humans should be
Mhm.
respecting each other. But we forgot that part
Yeah.
too. Apparently, somewhere down the
Yeah, we
road.
suck.
Yeah, yeah,
We kind of
yeah.
suck at this point, but
Well, the internet was introduced and the world went to hell in a handbasket, as we like to say,
yeah.
because all this information at our fingertips, and we can only handle so much, and it's just wild though,
Yeah.
and to me it gets crazy. So take us into writers. So what are some of the works have you written?
Well, I studied journalism. I studied print journalism.
Oh,
And
okay, okay.
so, yeah, I've been writing my entire life. Like, even before that, I have boxes and
Like doing
boxes. Like,
blogs and things like that, and different things.
I, I have written blogs, articles for newspapers and magazines,
That's cool.
literary works. I'm working on publishing a book right now, actually. That's my
Okay.
big project. A
So
book.
let's get into what's the book's about. What's the book
Yeah.
about? What's it called? What can you tell us?
So the working title is A Map Made of Wind. And
Okay.
it's the subtitle is A Cyclist's Guide to a Wild and Authentic Life, because it's basically a true story of a bicycle tour that I took across the United States of America by myself before I moved to Italy.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's the story of that journey.
So what was it like biking across the United States? It had to be interesting. What was your starting point? What was your end point? Give everybody a little idea where we're going from where to where. Because now you're in Italy, and that's really cool too. Honestly, I'd love to be there. The architecture alone, just the sights, the sounds. Our last guest that we just had on a minute ago, she came in from Spain. I was like, I'm just,
Neat.
like, damn, y'all making me jealous now. I don't want to. I want to go to Spain. That'd be great. You know what I'm saying? So you bike across the United States. What made you want to do that in the first place? I know we've had another individual from Canada. He biked across Canada and he battled cancer along the way. So, like, what was your reasoning for that?
Well, I am also an avid cyclist, so I have been a cyclist now for like 25 years or something.
Okay,
I love to travel and I love to cycle, and so when I discovered that bike touring was a thing, that was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be
yeah,
doing this
definitely.
for a
Okay,
while." Yeah, so I started cycle touring in, like, 2009, and 2018 is when I rode across the United States. I started in Berkeley, California, and I rode to St. Augustine, Florida, and I had just broken up with my now ex-husband. I was like a huge mess. And so I was like, what could I do? I'll ride across the United
That's what
States
I
in
was
a bit.
thinking. Like you're working your husband. You're like, you know what? My life's going to hell. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna torture him by biking myself across the country. Like that. That'd be so cool, though. I mean, the sights, the sounds, the things you saw. You know that's really cool, though. How did you decide the route, though? Like, was it just like you? All right, I'm just gonna go for it, or did you really had to plan that out, huh?
So this was definitely not my first cycle tour. So
Mm-hmm.
I had cycled by then in Mexico, in Asia, all over
Nice.
Europe, a lot of different parts of the United States. So yeah, I had a lot of bike touring experience under my belt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Going down from Berkeley to San Diego, I kind of just or followed the coast or asked locals for advice, picked my way down. And then once I got to San Diego, I had maps to follow from the American Cycling Association. I
Well,
did
that's really
what's
cool.
called
Okay.
the Southern Tour route.
Okay. That's so cool,
The
though.
Southern Tour, sorry,
So, what kind of
Southern.
things did you experience along the way? Like, did you get into some storms or something along the way? Because depending on what path you took, it had to be some fun times out there.
Oh, what didn't I run into really is probably the better question. Um, I
Whoops.
started I started in October and I finished in February, because it's so
Okay.
far south that you can, do it over the winter even. So in California, I had heat waves and like Santa Ana wind, which is like this super hot wind even at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I went further south and east, I had wind, I had rain, I had a freak snowstorm in Louisiana, which was really interesting. That was a trip.
I bet that
Um,
was. Yeah. Trying riding your
yeah,
bike in the winter. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm from the north. I'm from the Midwest. I live in Texas now, and these
sweet.
people down here worry about snow. I'm like, you all ain't seen snow yet. You want to go take a trip up north with me? Let me tell you, I'll show you what snow's like. You ain't seen nothing yet. These guys freak out about the smallest thing, 3 inches of ice, and they're freaking out. I'm like, you think that's it? You should be up there for the blizzards, man. I've been through a couple blizzards. I've been through hurricanes. I've been through it all. Like these guys, like they think see snow and like their world panics. Like I'm just like, y'all have no idea what you're even dealing with, do you? And
They're
it's
just not
funny to watch
prepared.
them too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. The
yeah, yeah, that's an understatement, not being prepared. These guys clear their shells off for a 2 day snowstorm. They're like clearing everything. I'm like, guys, I think we're gonna be okay. We're not gonna get snowed in for like 2 months. This isn't Alaska, we're okay. I think we'll be all right. That they just and the weirdest things too, they by the way, like they buy a lot of toilet paper. I'm like, what are y'all doing that you need that much toilet paper? It's like, during the whole crisis when there was a shortage, it was like they were like selling it on Facebook Marketplace and I've seen amounts. I was like, what is wrong with you all? Like, what the hell
Yeah,
is going on?
things got a little weird. Things got a little weird. Like toilet paper, that's the one we're gonna go crazy about. Like it's toilet
Right,
paper.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, exactly. Like, they just out there buying everything off the shelves. Like, it's like, oh, there's gonna be a snowstorm, and these guys here start panicking. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be really bad. It's like, but it's never really as bad as they say it is. I think only one time we had a really bad snowstorm here where they just started freaking out, and I'm out there cruising through the snow. I'm like, this ain't nothing to me, man. What do we got? Like 6 inches of snow out there. I'm cruising down the streets, like everything's shut down. I'm the only person there. So I did this series on TikTok where I was like, your residential Chicagoan and Texan. I'm like, these guys are freezing to death out here. And it's like 30 degrees and a little blow. And they're all out there like in these heavy jackets around like 40 degrees. These guys are freaking out. I'm just like, I'm walking around in shorts and I look like the weirdo. I'm like, what do you mean? Dude, this ain't cold. I'm like, let's go up north for a bit. Let's go to -0. Okay. I've been in Denver for a bit. -30 is the lowest I've ever been. And let me tell you, once you experience that, nothing else is that cold for you. It's just funny to watch them though.
Yeah.
But that's so cool though that you went across the United States and you were cycling, man. That had to be such an achievement by the time you finished it though.
Thanks. Yeah, it was for sure. It was
You're
like
like you're like, hey, ex-husband, I made it. Screw you, okay? I got here.
by myself. Ha, take that. Yeah, I was like
Right? She's like, yeah, take
four
that guy.
4,500 miles or something that I did.
Jesus.
Can't remember exactly now, but
Wow. Did you plan it like night and day for the certain areas that you were going through? Because sometimes, man, this heat out here is horrible.
well, I kind of went. I don't know. It depended on the day and the terrain and the weather and like a million things. But
Yeah.
I had tent with me. I had a water filter and a stove and everything. If can I cuss on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
If shit got real, then I could
Mm-hmm.
just spot and and camp. I always had like
Yeah.
reserve. Oh, I thought I was gonna sneeze. Nope, not
So
this time.
let's get into my favorite part of this whole conversation, podcast. How did you come up with your podcast? What was the idea? And what was that one moment you were like, you know what, I want to start a podcast? Because it's always interesting to hear what people's reasons for starting their show was.
I mean, I never really imagined that I would have a podcast, but, I broke my hip actually on a
Mhm.
bike ride. Surprise, surprise. Like in January of 2022 or 2021. It's all a blur, but anyways, I couldn't, go outside. I couldn't ride my bike. I couldn't do all these things that I would normally do. And so I got really depressed and was like losing my mind because
Yeah.
I didn't have to have surgery, thankfully, but I did have to just be still and like let myself heal for many months. And so after I climbed out of the pit of despair and boredom, I was like, okay, so I have all this time. How can I use it? Like, what can I do with it?
Yeah, but
And I
but
was like,
podcasting is an interesting thing to pick, though. I mean,
yeah.
let's look at the forefront of this thing. Like a lot of people like want to start a podcast, but nobody knows how to start. Where did you start, though? I mean, because a lot of people ask me all the time, Pete, how did you start your podcast? And then I give them all the information, and they look at me like I've gone and lost my mind someplace.
I mean, I just, I had all this time on my hands. I'm a
Hmm.
trained journalist. I'm super
Yeah.
curious. I love to interview people. I love to listen to people to get their stories, just to do things like that. So I thought, why not learn how to start a podcast? And I just started devouring all sorts of articles and stuff like that. If I put my mind to something, it happens. So, I was very determined and I
Did you
just,
listen to, like, other shows too? Were you, like, listening to any certain ones? Because I know when I started mine, I was listening to a lot of different ones, and I already enjoyed doing podcasts, and I kept always telling people, I'm gonna start a podcast one day," and somebody was telling me, like, "Hey, listen, you can." So I started one like that. I had one prior to Pete vs. Anxiety I did with a friend. We were
yeah,
messing around with it for a little bit, but I digested a lot of podcasts because I was like, "You know what? How am I gonna go about this thing?" Because, a lot of people like to say the market's flooded with them, but I'm like, not everybody's you though. Like you all have your own
true,
individual voice. So how's it
true.
flooded then? If they're not robot copies of you.
I mean, I've always liked listening to podcasts. Like I've always listened
Mhm.
to like This American Life, TED Talks, How Stuff Works,
Yeah.
the BBC for my news sometimes, various things. And I did listen to them while I was creating it to see how they timed things, to see how things sounded, to get inspiration for like the introduction and stuff like that. But yeah, I just figured it out step by step, like just kind of muddled through it until I figured everything out, you know? Like,
So was magic medicine and was that the original name for it, or did you have like several different changes as you went through it?
it was actually called Live from Suckville at the beginning.
Live from Suckville.
Yeah, because I was in Suckville, and the idea behind the podcast was that I was going to interview other people who had
Yeah.
been through something difficult and get their stories, like people who wanted to talk about it and they had wisdom to share. Um, and so I just started like with friends and then friends of friends, just like trying to find people who were like ordinary people but had like an extraordinary story. And everyone really actually does. Just not everybody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
was really
especially the space
interesting.
I'm in, it's like that too. So, when I started mine though, I just put a post out. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go for it. Because not a lot of people want to talk about their mental health. That's exactly to your point right there. How many people want to talk about what problems they have? And
Yeah.
when I put it out, I had such a response. Like I thought my phone was gonna explode because people are just blowing this thing up. And it was just an idea before I even started this thing. I had no plan. I did a little research beforehand. I kind of listened to other things and my thought was the same as yours. Is like, I don't have a journalism background, but I love to talk to people. So I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's start a conversation about something. Why are we not talking? And it was the men's mental health episode I did with my other show, which was just me messing around, telling stories about things I'd experienced in my industries of, working in customer service and these stories that people like you think I'm kidding when I tell them these stories. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, these are all real stories I'm telling
Oh,
people. And
I'm
like people that
serious.
worked with me were listening to this shit going, what is he talking about? So my original one was called Pete's Corner Store because I work in a gas station now. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to come together, do some wild stuff. I had friends come on, and things like that. But when I got to this one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try something different. I'm just going to go for it, make a post. I went into a random Facebook group and just like put the whole idea out there. This is the idea. Really, I don't have an idea what I'm going to do with this just yet. Anybody interested in it? I tell you, when I thought my phone was going to explode, it went off so much. I had like 150 responses, and I didn't
Nice.
realize how many people wanted to talk about it. So, like, it originally was, it was Pete versus anxiety. I don't remember what other names I came up before that I didn't really like, but it just hit me one day. I was sitting there like, Pete versus anxiety, because every day I battle my anxiety was the original idea behind it. And I was wondering why we're not talking about our mental health. So my question to you though is like, how did you get to magic medicine and mayhem? I mean, because you went from
Hmm.
live from Suckville, which is a
I
great
know.
name. I thought it was awesome, to where you're
Thanks.
now.
Well, okay, so I mean, I started it while I was healing, and I
Hmm.
started to talk to other people about their healing. And then as I was started to talk to people about their traumatic experiences, basically, and their adversity
Oh,
that they've
okay.
gone through. And what I
Okay.
started to notice is that, like, every single person I talked to at some point, either during the interview or after, was like, "Wow, this was so healing. Like, this was so, like, good for me to talk about." And I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." And so then I started being like, "How could I help people heal more? Like, what could I do to help people more?" And so that's actually when I went down the path that I am now, because I've become an energetic healer. So I offer Reiki and shamanic services, and I do online events and courses and all sorts of stuff. And so then the podcast name didn't really fit anymore. Like, it didn't really fit where I was anymore. So I decided to change it to Magic Medicine and Mayhem. And so that's
Yeah.
what it is now.
So what got you into energy healing? Because that's an interesting area to get into. Because like I was introduced to it when I got into the whole thing, and I started going down that path. What got you into it?
That question, like, what could I do to help people? And I've
Hmm.
always been kind of interested in, I mean, I guess, like, magic, you could say. Like, when I
Yeah.
was little, I was always, like, playing with, like, mermaids and fairies and dragons and, like, writing all these stories about all these, like, fantastical things that would happen. And Reiki is almost kinda like a real life magic, because you can't see it, but it works. And so
Yeah.
that's kinda like the gateway healing practice that I learned. Was like, I got my Reiki certificate was the first thing that I did,
Yeah.
because I had some Reiki done on me when I was healing, and it was really
Oh, okay.
helpful. And so I was
Okay.
like, "Hmm, maybe
Well,
I'll do
it
that."
makes sense now a little bit because you experience it for yourself, and a lot of people go through these experiences, get into those kind of things. They're like, hey, this worked for me. Now maybe I'll do
Mhm,
this for other people now. Because it's an interesting area to get into. Because I didn't know what Reiki was for the longest time, and then I met a few people along the way. I think one guy from Australia in the earlier stages of the show, we met him early on. He was coming in all the way from Australia. We had met him, and he was telling us more about it because I never knew what it was. And then I got introduced to energy healing later in the season, where in the first part of the first half of the year, because I started in September, somewhere in November is where I met the energy healer that I had met, that me and her had discussed it a little bit, and she was explaining a lot of things like I'm energy sensitive, and all these other things I didn't know about myself that didn't make sense to me, but now do after she explained it to a clear example. So then I started exploring that route a little more. So I'm energy sensitive, so I can sense people's energy a lot of times. Like when I'm sitting in a room with somebody, I'm literally trying to pick up on their energy because I'm working on it all the time, and I'm getting pretty good at it. Picking up on people I dislike and don't. People like and dislike. Like within the first 5 minutes of talking to most people, I can tell if I like you or not, because and it's just a feeling you get, like, you'll know, like, it's hard to tell people what the feeling's like, but to me, it's like a sick pit in my stomach. If I feel sick to my stomach and around somebody, it means I don't like them. There's something about them I don't like, or the energy they're giving off, I don't really like too much, and things like that too. And I've met a few other energy healers along the way. One actually runs a podcast called the Metamorphosis Project.
mhm.
So I've had it done myself too. I've had energy healing sessions done before and things like that. Explored that. I explored human design, all these other things. I started going into these different areas of things, just started branching off to learn more about stuff. I even did an astrological star chart reading because I was just curious. Like, I've never done it. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the hell? Let's go for it. Why not?
why not?
I had the same thoughts you did, but I don't have the journalism background, but I had the sense of a journalist, like I'm always interested in more conversations, different things, exploring different things. We even did quantum healing. That was an interesting whole thing. Have somebody sit there and for like 2 hours dig around in your subconscious mind and learn things about yourself that you didn't even know existed. and things like that too. So like the show opened that possibility up, just like, like you were doing. Like you open the doors for some people, man, and like, sometimes you let in the wildest stories you ever heard in your life
Yeah.
come through these doors. I think last season, season three, so season opener was probably wild. Is still the number one wildest story. Well, I may have a few this season coming up that are going to blow it off the doors, but we'll see, because like you don't know what people are going to tell you. One woman,
No,
we
you
went from
don't.
talking about her to her talking about how she was sexually assaulted at 3 years old. Didn't know until a hypnosis therapy session. She went into
Damn.
she was doing some therapy, and then she the hypnotic therapy. She was in there, and they kept saying something was wrong. Kept hinting at it, and then she just drops this bombshell of a story, and I'm just like, wait, what? What the hell happened? Because you don't know where you're gonna go. And it's the same thing with you. It's like you're dealing with these people's trauma. These people are telling you these things. And I don't know if you're an empath. I am. So like I had to learn early on how to protect myself, because like I was so emotionally drained after listening to these stories. Like I'm like, dude, I need a nap after this. This is rough, because these guys were laying some serious things on us. And it was interesting, because like every person you meet, it's a whole new experience, because you don't know what you're going to learn from them, and you start learning new things, and it's so cool, because it's like I was doing like at first I was doing 5 days a week. I was interviewing people, and I work third shift. So I work all night, come home, record the show live with people. And we're live, mind you. So there's the human element of people coming from the internet talking to you about weird shit, asking you random questions and things like that while you're live. And so I moved to a closed element setting, because some of these stories were getting so intense. It's like you want to keep that intimate setting for people when they come in, because they're sharing their personal business. That way, in case after you're done and they want to like, hey, listen, can we edit some parts out? Yeah, we can take that out, no problem. And we've covered everything on the show, suicide all the way down to like the one girl said she drank bleach, cut her wrist, was literally the statement she made. I was like, wait, what? What did you just say to me, huh? And like, and
Mm.
we had a guy live though one time. He was telling us he thought about killing himself that morning. His exact statement was, "Hey Pete, can I tell you something?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" He was like, he was going through it. You could tell he was going through it. It's like, that's when I start learning how to read people's body language a lot of times. Like you could tell something's up with him. I was like, and he's talking. I said, "Hey man, can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he starts going into 15 minutes into this thing, goes, "Well, I lost my friend in December to suicide." I was like, "I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry." And I'm like, I'm trying to stay calm, because this is the first time I've ever had to deal with this conversation. Knowing it would come up, he was literally
Yeah.
telling us, he's like, that morning I had the gun in my hand, and I was like, I finally pieced it together what he was about to say next. He's like, I was sitting at the edge of the bed, I had the gun in my hand, I was thinking about putting it against my temple and pulling the trigger. I was just like, and in my head, I'm freaking out, but on the camera, I'm keeping it completely cool, but I'm freaking out on the inside, because I'm like, oh my God, this guy is talking about killing himself, and like it was the first time experiencing it. And I was like, yeah, that's when I start really considering like maybe we shouldn't be doing these live, we should take them to a private setting for those kind of conversations, because
Yeah.
we did September for Suicide Awareness Month. They did few episodes with some people where we got into the conversation where one girl, we were actually in the perspective of the person that was actually got close and she didn't. The bullet missed her brain when she shot herself. The bullet missed somehow, but you're looking at it from the perspective of the person that's going through it. And she's like, for some reason, the abuser in this situation is freaking out, but you don't know why at this point in the conversation. So she gets into it and goes, well, yeah, then I come to realize that I had the gun next to me. I was bleeding out of the side of my head. I'm just like, wait, what? What's going on? This conversation just took a whole new turn, and you're just like, whoa. And after that, I'm like, I gotta walk away from this. This is a lot, man. This is a lot.
Yeah.
And then it was the woman who told us that she had to tell her kids dad killed himself, and they were like 7 or 8, and she had to explain it to them in a way they'd understand. And the conversations got wild. And I'm sure, you exploring other people's trauma probably went through the same thing I did.
There's been some pretty interesting conversations for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you have the journalism background, so it'd probably be a little different for the way you were asking people questions about it though. But we also had John Dukakis from CNN that came on here, and he was hanging out with us for a bit too. Real cool guy, by the way.
Nice.
Came on, and he was an interesting character to talk to too, because he was doing it remotely from his car. He was traveling with his wife and everything too, so it was really cool to get him on. John reached out to me to be on the show, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So like this has been great. So my question to you though, for guest wise, have you had any interesting people come on? Anybody you want to brag about? Like, hey, listen, I had this person come on.
I mean, I haven't really had any like quote unquote famous people come on yet. You never know.
Famous in their own right.
Yeah, because I kinda specifically wanted to talk to people that are
Mhm,
just like your average Joe or Jane, you know?
mhm.
Like, I wanted to talk to people who, are just living a normal life, but they've had these experiences that are really incredible and, you know, intense, but, like, they came out the other side and they wanna talk about it, and it's always changed them in some way, even if they don't even really realize it until they're talking about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, I haven't really had any, like, famous people on or anything yet, but
I
you
haven't had
never
really many
know.
famous people, but like I said, John came on, it was really interesting, just the opportunities of people that end up in my inbox, and, like, John and I were on the
Yeah.
same guest matching site, and that's how we linked up, and I was like, "Okay," John had hit me up, and I was like, at first, I didn't realize who he was until I started looking into his background. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't really do much prep for these shows. I kind of like look at who I'm talking to, and all this conversation comes directly off the top of my head. So like a lot of these things I'm talking about. Now there are other episodes I planned for, like depending on what it is. I've had special requests. People come on, they want to talk about the book. Okay, well, give me a little guideline what to work from. What do we want to highlight? Things like that too. Like I'm open to a lot of conversations. I think I've only had to turn on like 3 or 4 because they got a little extreme, but other than that, it's been interesting to see what conversations you get. I've done a lot of media panels. I've done a lot of other podcasts and things like that. So it's fun. It's been fun traveling around doing other shows because you get to see like how different people do their shows and how they ask you different questions and things like that as well. So are you still recording the show now?
I am. I haven't been very consistent with it lately because I've been really focused on trying to get the book out the door. So
Hmm.
once I do that, like, once I send it
What's
off to agents,
well,
then
we
I'll
have
have
to
more
know
time.
what's the timeline on the book. Do we have a date yet? Do we know what we're going to do here? Because we're obviously going to ask you to come back and talk about it with us.
Well, I hope so. I would love to. That'd be awesome.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely. Listen, I invite anybody always says book, I always get my peaks of interest. I'm like, "Oh, you said book? Okay, let's dig into this a little more," because they're always interesting because you get the authors to come on, and it's easier for I could tell people about the book all day, but the person that wrote it is right here in front of you. Let's let them tell you exactly what it is that it's about, how to what you want the takeaways to be for the book for people. So do you know what the date is yet, or we have an idea what frame we're looking at here?
Not yet because I am looking to get an agent and then an
Mhm.
editor. So it all depends on how quickly I find an agent and how quickly we find an editor for it. So it could happen. It could be the 3rd or 4th agent, or it could be the 34th agent. Who knows?
Have you considered self-publishing it? I know a lot of people self-publish their own works these days now too.
Self-publishing is always an option, but once I've self-published something, I can't, try and send it to agents and editors like the big publishing houses because they always
Oh,
want an
okay.
unpublished work. So that would be maybe, like, later on if this doesn't work, but I have a feeling that it's going to. Because this book is a it's like Wild. Have you ever heard of Wild?
Mhm.
But it's, very embodied and grounded in, like, forward motion, and she was a lot about punishing herself during her trip, but I was more about rebuilding and rediscovering myself.
Ye Have you ever considered writing a memoir too about your journey going across the states, because I think that'd be very interesting to get your mindset of what your thoughts were going through as you progress through each one and kinda do the
I mean,
chapters like every
that's
state
what
you
it
pass
is.
through. Is it really? Oh,
That's what it
okay.
is.
Well, I got then I'm along the right lines then. That's really cool
Yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I like this. I
That's
like
what it
this.
is.
Alright. I'm excited. I
It's
can't wait to see this thing. I'm ready to check this out.
yeah,
I can't wait because I think
yeah,
it's
read
interesting because I wanna know your mindset of what you were going through as you because I can only imagine the thoughts are going through your head as you're going through and experiencing these things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely I mean, it's a inward and outward journey, both things.
So let me
It
ask.
reads like a fiction book, but it's a
Oh, okay.
memoir.
Awesome. I love it. So the real question is, how did you end up in Italy? I'm kind of curious now. Did you just say, forget it? I just want to go see the world, fell in love with Italy and decided that you wanted to stay there?
Well, when I was still with my ex, we started coming over here because we were working for a bicycle tour company.
Okay.
So, I was like a Jane of all trades, like whatever they needed, I would go on a tour last minute, I would cook, I would do logistics. My ex was a mechanic, and so when we
Oh,
split
okay.
up, I decided that I wanted to come over here and have an adventure and see if I could make it work because I really liked Europe in general. For, like, many years, I wanted to move over here. So I just, got myself a student visa actually while I was traveling across the states on my bike. I started to get organized, and, 8 years later, I'm still here.
Have you
That'll
have
be
you
the
ever
next
thought of have you ever thought of
that'll
touring,
be
like
next
doing the Tour de France, kind of like the same trail they do, like the Tour de France kind of thing, like going down the same almost the same trail they did, that'd be kinda cool since you're a cyclist anyways, that's something that you're big for, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, pieces of it, sure, why not? But I don't know. That would be pretty intense. That's like you'd have
Yeah.
to be really in shape for that. And plus carrying all the bags and everything, it would probably be a little bit difficult.
Well,
But
listen, you never know, it could be something cool to check out though, since you're a cyclist, enthusiast already. You're deep in it
yeah,
already. It'd be kinda cool to check out some of the sites. You can just see some of the areas that these guys have gone through,
but
and
no,
you could
we've
probably.
definitely my current husband and I were both cyclists, and so
Oh, okay.
we've gone various like when the Tour de France came through our area a couple years ago,
Well, that'd be so cool.
we rode up a mountain and waited for them to come through. So it
Well,
was
that's
really
so
cool.
cool. That'd
Yeah.
be really cool though to see it firsthand.
Also, the Giro d'Italia is coming near us next Sunday, so we're gonna go
What
see
is
it.
that exactly? Because I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Maybe not
That
really familiar.
that is kind of like, a Tour de France, but it's in Italy.
Oh, okay. That's really
It's
cool though.
probably the 2nd most popular cycle competition that there is.
Nice. Yeah, see, I didn't even know
Mhm.
that one even existed. That's really cool. I'll have to check out that.
There's so many,
'Cause
so
you
many.
listen, hats off to those guys, man. You just watch what they
Yeah,
go through and all that. I'm like, dude, I couldn't do it. Like, I could barely bike down to the end of the road. You kidding me? I could only imagine going across the whole United States.
it was a
More
trip.
power to you, man. More power to you. Okay, so we're at the part of this interview. I don't know if you've ever seen these episodes, but we're gonna ask you two questions. All right. So the
Bring it
first
on.
one is a fun question I ask everybody. So the question to you is, if your mental health had a song, what would you say that song would be?
My mental health had a song, what would that song be? That's a good question. Probably something by Credence. Do, 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 looking out my back door. Something like that.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, because when I did it, mine had multiple answers to it because I have anxiety, depression, and mine kind of go in an infinite loop. So mine could change anything. And music's a big part of my life. I love music. I'm
Nice.
always constantly listening to music all the time. So I'm always looking at different things. I get artists on the show, and it's great to hear people's responses because you get the different answers to what it is. So it's an open-ended question, nothing wrong with it. Okay. So now the next question, and the reason this podcast was started is if you could break the stigma about mental health. Now, when I ask you this, I'm asking you from the standpoint of something you hear on a daily basis. You just want people to stop believing. What would you say that one thing would be?
That I want people to stop saying or stop doing.
Yeah, stop believing, stop saying anything that
Stop
falls in
believing.
that category. Just things that drive you crazy. You hear people say.
Um, here in Italy, it's a culture where everybody has a lot of pressure to be like everyone else and to fit in, you know? There's a lot of pressure. But I feel like
Hmm.
that's not only here in Italy, it's just very tangible here. And so what I wish the people would do was do what makes them feel good, like no matter what that is, you know? And it's really hard to not care what people think, but the better you feel about yourself, the better that you feel like in your body and your life, the more that you follow your version of authentic, the less you'll care what other people think.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a great point.
yeah, I just really want people to be themselves, which is really hard. But
Yeah. Too many
I
things with society and Facebook and all these other social sites. I feel like you have a really good point there. I think too many people see these other people and think that that's the way they need to act. So my big thing with the younger kids is that we need to stop sending the wrong messages to them. Like, stop telling them that you have to be the super pretty one to get all the attention of the guy, all
yeah,
that. And then these guys, God, I wish they'd stop saying this stupid shit about how, oh, go back to the kitchen. Like, I just want to choke some of them. And like, dude, just stop. Like, stop. Why do you need to degrade somebody? What is the point of that? Like, why do that to people? That's just I don't get it. The internet's a dangerous place. But anyways,
like you
with
go
that
back
being
to the kitchen then. You go back to the kitchen. Huh?
exactly,
Word.
exactly. Tell them. So before we start signing off, Silva, you have any last words? Anything inspirational that you want everybody to leave a lasting impression on? What's your message to everybody here before we sign off?
Well, the message one of the underlying probably the underlying theme of the book is curiosity over fear. So like leaning into the curiosity when you find yourself being afraid of like what might happen because you want to make a change, or what might happen if you were more yourself, or what might happen if, you know, you were allowed to do whatever you wanted and fall in love with whoever you wanted, or whatever it is, which is like to get curious about why you're feeling afraid and get curious about what it is that's keeping you stuck,
I absolutely
instead
love
of
it.
letting fear like trap you, you know,
Yep,
and seeing
I
what you
absolutely
can
love
do
it.
with it, seeing how you can transform it.
I absolutely, absolutely love it. I think it's a fantastic statement. With that being said, before we wrap up, let everybody know where they can check you out. You know, where your socials are, whatever social you want to plug. You want to plug the podcast so they can catch up until you start getting back on it again. That way they can
Thank you.
make sure they know where to catch you and all that kind of stuff. Guys, I'm going to provide all these in the bio for you all, so don't worry. She's going to tell you where to find her. I'm going to leave the links for you for everybody that's listening at home. That way you can reach out and let her know. And then when we know what the book is, we're definitely going to invite her to come back. We'll have her come back, get all the links and all that stuff set up for you guys to go check it out. So lay it on them, girl. Where can they find you?
So you can find me almost everywhere. I mean, you can find the podcast literally everywhere, just like Pete said, it's everywhere. You can find me on Instagram, on Threads, on LinkedIn. My website is silvaflorence.com. You can find me all over the World Wide Webs.
Love it. Love it. And with that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. You guys know where to find me on Pete vs. Anxiety on X, all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify, all the way down to Pandora Radio. And as I always say, it costs nothing absolutely to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do can save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety, saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health?